So BB's up first. What's up, BB? He says, hey guys, let's say you have a post in the site that has an internal link to another post. Now, let's say you created a new post in the site and you want to change the first post link to point to the new post. What happens to the link juice? Does Google make the old post less valuable and the new post more valuable? Well, if you're, yeah. So whatever, it's not that Google makes one or more valuable or less valuable. It's where are you directing the internal link equity, right? So internal link juice or link equity, some people call it in rank, other people call it in links. It's internal link equity, right? That's the way I look at it. Whenever you change an internal link from one page to point from one page to another or one post to another, right? All you're doing is just directing that internal link equity away from one into another. So because of your internal linking structure, you're telling Google and all the other bots that crawl the site which pages are the more important ones. In other words, that's how you can tell between. There's a few ways, right? So your hierarchy, the way that you have your content stacked, right? Your pages and posts stacked within the site. So in your build, the structure of your site, that's the hierarchy of how you have pages and posts stacked, right? That's with WordPress, it would be like taxonomies, categories, tags, pages, posts, how you have that content kind of stacked or structured in the site, and the architecture of the site is one way. Another way is XML sitemaps. Believe it or not, sitemaps can really help you to signify to Google and any of the search engines, but mainly Google, right? What are the most important pages and or posts on the site? That's how you help Google to determine crawl budgeting, right? Like how when you can set crawl budgets within your sitemaps. And so that basically says, okay, these pages aren't going to be changed very much, so they shouldn't need to be crawled very often, because there's a finite amount of resources that Google will commit to a particular website, right? And so you want to tell through Google or through XML sitemaps, excuse me, where Google should focus its crawl resources. So blogs, obviously, posts, index pages or archive pages like blog archive or category archive pages where they will be updated with new content. Those types of things you typically want the bots to crawl more often, right? So, and then lastly is internal linking. So there's the three kind of ways to tell the bots what are the most important pages on the site, and that is through structure, so hierarchy, which is generally done through taxonomies and the way that the site is built, the XML sitemaps, and finally, internal linking, right? And so internal linking can be controlled through contextual links, which is the most powerful way. Contextual links are links within content. Those are generally weighted heavier by Google. There's also navigation links. There's also taxonomy links, as I just talked about, with like categories and tags and things like that. In WordPress, those are generally like breadcrumbs and those types of links that will link to the category page or to the tag pages and things like that. But contextual links are weighted the heaviest. In other words, it's given the most priority by Google as to which pages should it focus on and think about why. Because navigational links are links that are going to be present on every single page. The navigation menu, like the main navigation menu in a website, is present on every page or post. So therefore, those links are still crawled by Google, but they're not weighted as heavy as a contextual link, because when the bot comes and crawls a page or a post and it goes through the content and it's reading like we do, right, from top to bottom, left to right, it discovers within the content body the links that are pointing either external resources or to internal resources. And if you know how to do internal linking properly and you learn how to silo and you understand why we silo and everything else, then a contextual link that's pointing to another internal resource, so another page or post on the site, should be relevant, right? It should be relevant to what it's linking from. But it also is telling Google, okay, this is a resource that we want to direct the reader, not just the bots, but also the user, the reader, to, because it can help them, right? It should be additional information that would be valuable to somebody that is interested in this topic or this content, if that makes sense. So it's not that Google makes one page less valuable than the other. It's what you tell Google should be the most valuable page. So if in a page or a post, you're linking to a blog post that you then end up generating or creating, drafting, publishing a new and better post about the same topic, or, about the same kind of keyword or whatever topic generally. Let's say you just publish a better version of that, right? Or a more appropriate resource to link to from within that original page that you had been linking to the old blog post. If that makes sense, then, if you have a better target, something that would complement the page better that you're linking from to the new blog post, then you redirect to that. If it's not, if you are publishing another post that is kind of like can help to add to the topic or the relevance of the page that you're linking from, then you don't have to always remove the link to the old post, right? If it makes sense, you can just add a new link to the new post, right? If they're not competing posts, right? If that makes sense. So, again, it's not that Google says one is more valuable than the others. It's what you are telling the bots based upon your internal linking and some of the other examples that I just talked about. So hopefully that makes sense. And by the way, there is a kind of a phenomenon that we've, identified over the years, and I've seen it. It's called link echo. And that's basically when you remove a link if you've had a link that has been seasoned or aged for a period of time, that's been pointing to a page or a post or whatever its target URL is that it's linked to. And then you remove that link, there's usually a delay. Like Google doesn't just when they recrawl that page and recognize that link is gone, it doesn't mean that like all of a sudden that all the power that link had been providing is gone. There's kind of like this echo that occurs where that it will still provide a benefit for a matter of weeks and sometimes even months, depending on, again, crawl budget. How often does Google crawl the pages on the site where that link was placed? Because let's say again, it's a site that it's a page that Google only crawls once every, let's just use an example, once a month. And you remove the link today, Google just crawled it yesterday, and you remove the link today. Well, Google's not going to know that link is gone to the target page that it was originally pointing to until it recrawls it again a month from yesterday. Does that make sense? So it's still going to provide, and even when it does recrawl that page and recognize that link is gone to that one page, it might have been pointed to another page or whatever. It's not like, okay, we're just going to remove any benefit that we gave to it, to that page or post because that link is gone now. Oftentimes it will take some time before it will start to lose the benefit from that link, even though that link has been removed, if that makes sense. Again, call that kind of like an echo effect. And I've seen that happen time and again. So that's something else that, again, you remove the link. It doesn't mean it's just going to drop out of the index or be demoted. Sometimes it does. Again, it all depends on how often Google's crawling those pages and everything else. Hopefully that makes sense, BB. That was kind of an abstract question. I hoped I answered it in a reasonable way. All right, the next part is that a same question, but changing a link within a post outside of the site. Same thing. It's the exact same thing. You're just telling, you want to be pointing to relevant sources, right? Things that add to the conversation, so to speak, right? So you want to point to resources that validate the topic, right? That validate the whatever you're trying to convey within the page or the post. Things that would add to the value, essentially, right? And so if you find a better resource to link to from within a page, then you remove the link from one, to whatever you were linking to and link to something else. That won't hurt anything. And again, that whatever page you remove the link, whatever you remove the link from that it was pointing to, generally isn't going to just, lose all the value right away. It takes a little bit of time. It was a good question, though.